Hello again in this video clip series, my journey to God in a very secularized world. Continuing in the difficulties of getting to heaven in this period of time, because it is more difficult today than ever before. But Lucia di Fatima said to Father Agostino Fuentes, the postulator of the cause of beatification of Jacinta and Francesco, December 26, 1957. She said, "Father, it is urgent that we realize this terrible reality." She said, "We do not want to fill the souls with fear, but only it is urgent, a call to reality. Hell exists, brothers and sisters." Lucia continues, she says, "From when the Holy Virgin gave such a great efficaciousness to the Rosary, there does not exist any material, spiritual, national, or international problem that cannot be resolved with the Holy Rosary and with our sacrifices. To recite it with devotion will be to console Mary and to wipe away so many tears from her Immaculate Heart. Our Lady expressly said, we are approaching the end times." You know, we say that God is love, but do we really believe that the God who created human beings and gave these human beings a guide for their conduct, the Ten Commandments, are for our good or for our harm? Do we really believe this? Do we trust ourselves or do we trust God? Do we give God only lip service in the Our Father, thy will be done, but in effect, my will be done? Many church leaders do not live the gospel, but as laymen, many people today don't live it, which is only possible by trusting in God with much prayer, not in ourselves, and thus lead the souls entrusted to priests and bishops down the path, because if they do not pray and do that, they lead other souls with them to destruction, the road to perdition. When Cardinal Casper was proposing and promoting, and now more and more bishops and cardinals recently promoted to higher positions of authority, and thus encouraged by Pope Francis, it is to open the floodgates in the name of compassion, mercy, and love. Do whatever you want. But listen to the words of Jesus. He says, "But I say to you that everyone who divorces his wife, except on the ground of unchastity, makes her an adulteress. And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery." Who's right, Jesus or Casper? Or Amoris Laetitia? I'm going to follow Jesus because Jesus can offer paradise. The others don't. So I'll do what Jesus wants. Casper and gang are helping us to look at ourselves instead of looking at God, to trust in ourselves rather than to totally trust in God. That's what they're doing to us. Jesus said, "What therefore God has joined together, let no man put asunder." Even Jesus' disciples at the beginning of their walk with Jesus talked like many leaders of the dying local churches of Europe today, as Casper, as Weigel said. The churches in Europe are dying. The disciples, even when they were beginning in their following of Jesus, they were similar to all of us. They said to Jesus, "If such is the case of a man and his wife, is it not expedient to it is not expedient to marry?" Matthew 19. A true pope would say to Casper, perhaps in a more polite way, as did Pope John Paul II in Familiaris Consortio in Ratzinger, Jesus said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan! You are a hindrance to me, for you are not on the side of God, but of men." Where are priests and bishops' courage to do like Jesus? But of course with humility, because I personally am a sinner, but I still have to say the truth, even though I'm a sinner, like the good thief on the cross. Like God said to Ezekiel, if you do not give counsel to the one who's in sin, you end up in hell. You end up in hell yourself. He said that to the prophet. So even though the prophet is a sinner, God said to him, if you don't admonish the sinner, you're going to hell. Christ is saying to all Christians, especially those who have greater responsibilities, such as priests and bishops, that if people pray to discover and to do the holy will of God, it is possible to live the 10 Commandments as God gave to Moses. If people do not pray, it is impossible to live the 10 Commandments as God intended. For our true good explained in detail by His church, the Catholic Church. It is amazing today how many priests, bishops, and cardinals are trying to change the 10 Commandments according to what people want, instead of encouraging the people to set aside at least 15 minutes a day to meditate on the life of Christ in the Holy Rosary and to spend time before the Blessed Sacrament. If they did this, it would be possible to live the 10 Commandments as God intended for our true good. This means the priests, bishops, and cardinals don't spend time before the Blessed Sacrament with the Rosary, and so they say, well, come with all of us. We're all going into compromise, so let's go together. And that's what at Garabandal, that was a strong message at Garabandal. Thus one sees what Our Lady predicted for our times on the anniversary of the great miracle of the sun at Fatima on October 13th, 1917. She said, the work of the devil will infiltrate even the church in such a way that one will see cardinals opposing cardinals, bishops against other bishops. The church will be full of those who accept compromise. This is Our Lady of Akita, Japan, October 13th, 1973. So many church leaders today are offering as solutions to the crisis of family life and sexuality compromise after compromise instead of offering the true solution. First of all, by their own example of adoration of the Eucharistic Lord and praying the Holy Rosary. Which of the two solutions will lead to the true and eternal solution, and which solution will lead to destruction here on earth and for all eternity? Which will lead to the true solution and the other to which one is right? Which solution leads to trust more in God, and which solution leads to trust more in ourselves? Should we follow the words of Cardinal Casper and many others like him, or like my Bishop of Perugia, Cardinal? Or should we follow the words of the angel Gabriel and of Mary, who became the Mother of God because she totally trusted in the Word of God? As the angel said to Mary, for with God nothing will be impossible. And Mary said, behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Let it be done to me according to your word. It's very interesting that in the proposals of these bishops to allow divorced and remarried Catholics to receive communion without doing all they can to avoid the near occasional sin, there is no mention of what is best and needed for the children. Think about that. In Amoris Laetitia, it doesn't matter about the children, just what the desires of the adults. Oh, I fell in love with another woman. No, that's okay because that's love. They don't talk about the poor children of separated and divorced Catholics. In these proposals in Amoris Laetitia, which is totally contrary to the teaching of the Church, there's no mention there's only mentioned what the adults want and desire. Do these proposals of these bishops help people progress toward greater love of God and neighbor in self-sacrifice, or greater love of self in self-love? Instead, what's going on here? What's going on here? I will end this video clip here. May God bless you and Mary guide you.